Hello, Gunner James 105. So this next video, it's been a while, probably been about it's over a month now, I think, since my last video. My last video was concerning many items that a subscriber had sent to me. So there was the fact that he wanted to send these items, and if you go back, you can see that video and it explains everything. And I have been talking to George. I haven't talked to him a lot lately on the phone, but back then we were talking on the phone about all kinds of things that we were both interested in, which were very similar. We're both about the same age. And he had mentioned that he had a Swedish AG42B, and I have one in the collection here as well. So he was looking forward to me doing a video on it. So the last video featured the items he sent, and I want to do a video for George. It's been a while. He's been very patient because I happened to mention that I was going to do one, and things get in the way, things come up, and so finally, and it takes a bit to prepare. I want to be able to give as much correct information as I can find, and so with the suggestion by George and his patience, we're finally there now. So I'm going to show you these rifles here. So we've got the item that I'm going to talk about. There's the M96, which is for another video, and so we'll do some close-ups and more detail on that. This is the one we're paying most attention on in this video. Now, just over on this side, I've got the rest of my Swedish collection. As I say, it's these two rifles and these items here. A couple of bayonets and frogs and the M26 helmet. And so I'll go around, I'll explain some of the stuff here, and I we'll take a look at those cleaning kits because they are specific to this rifle. So I'm going to put this camera on a tripod, and we'll get some close-ups for you. Hang tight. Now, the original version of this, because this is the upgraded version, but the original version was the M42, and it was officially the AGM42. AGM, which the AG was Automat Gewehr, and so basically automatic rifle in translation, more or less a self-loading rifle. So keeping with the I wish I had one, but I don't, maybe one day, the 1894 carbine, which came before the M96, it used this bayonet. So it being carbine, it needed a longer bayonet, and of course the long rifle then had this. This is basically the M96 bayonet, and this is the M94, 1894. So this was used on that rifle and this rifle. The frog for this has been modified. I'll just get this out of the way quickly, but this B then, this would have been modified for, not necessarily this, in its original form it would have been for this bayonet, but it was modified to carry the M96. And the scabbard on this one, with that kind of a Y shape, that is an officer's frog on there. But I might make another video getting into a little more detail on some of the remaining pieces, the helmet, etc. So we'll leave that for now. This was designed around the 6.5 Spitzer bullet. The M96 would have originally come out with this, actually back to 1894 was the 6.5, and that's the type of bullet you would have found back then. This doesn't work so well, or wasn't really made for this. I think they did have some that, of course, the sight had to be adjusted differently for the use of these, but it was more common to have the Spitzer type bullets. These here are the M41s. Now I've got a couple of boxes that are the real deal military issue. So that'd be a 139 grain bullet, which I've got a full box and a partial box there. Picked up about a dozen of these charger clips. I have this here because basically when I mentioned later regarding the Hakim, it was using the 8mm, and so there it is on its charger clip, and you can see the difference in the size of the bullet. There's 8mm is larger, of course, but the charger clips don't interchange. So if you can see that there, the 8mm is narrower. So you need that style, that specific Mauser Swedish charger clip for these. It works for both rifles. And so got a few extras of those. And just to finish off the as far as the ammunition, I know that this rifle is tuned for this, as far as its gas setting, is set up for these, and they kept these fairly almost like a match grade bullet. They were all very close in their build, so that this would cycle properly. So this rifle was meant to cycle properly with this ammunition, and there was no need then to have an adjustable gas port. And so what George has mentioned to me is that he uses this. I'm not sure if this happens to be the soft point. Boat tail is correct for this rifle. These are 139 grain, which are correct. And George says he runs these through the rifle with no problem at all. I have not fired this rifle yet. And so eventually when I'm going to take it to the range here this year and give it a whirl, I'll be using this as opposed to the original stuff, because I don't have much. And if it's working good, well, I'll get some more of this. So back to the rifle. I kind of was going to go through the rifle and then the ammunition, but I kind of got sidetracked real easy there, just regarding that ammunition. So the 1896 rifle, it was used for a lot of years, but the Swedish military felt that they needed to get something a little more modern, something that would compare, or not that they were involved in World War II, but they were preparing themselves in case that may arise, or they may have to defend their country. And so they wanted something that was going to maybe be a better match for who might be invading, and that might be the Russian military with their SBT-38 and SBT-40s. So they started making these. It was actually designed by Eric Eklund, and Eric Eklund had designed the original version, the M42, in 1941, and he was an engineer at C.J. Ljungman Pump Company at Malmo, Sweden, and you'll often hear these referred to as Ljungmans, spelt Ljungman, pronounced Ljungman. And so that company, yes, at Malmo, Sweden, and they started production. So he came up with this idea, this design, in 1941, and they started making them in 1942 through 45, with, I think, the highest numbers being built in 43 and the lowest numbers in 45. And so this particular one happens to be in 1945, and the numbers on them, I've seen somewhere between 30,000 and 33,000, so somewhere in there. So not that many on the grand scale. And so what ended up happening is that they were then using these through 1942 when they were first introduced, all the way up to the early 60s. And then they went to a more modern rifle, which was mid-60s. They picked up the AK-4, which is basically the Heckler & Koch G3. I think they're using AK-5 now. And so just some of the things with this rifle that different or was something maybe more fashionable at the time, similar to the M1 Grand as the pistol grip. It's not a light rifle. It weighs just about 10.5 pounds. There is a Suomi KP31 in the collection, which was the submachine gun firing the 9mm. That thing feels bloody heavy. It's so it's around 10.5 pounds as well. But the design of this rifle, and it wasn't a common thing, but to have they're not using the same systems as other self-loading rifles, in that this is a gas impingement or a direct gas impingement rifle, where the gas port, which I believe is probably somewhere around here, that gas then, when the rifle is fired, just goes down a tube. There's no mechanical parts, so it's just the gas that moves down the tube and forces the bolt back. Bolt and bolt carrier go back using that gas system. And I'll open that up and I'll show you where that port is. And so, most of its markings, you'll see there's a crown. When you see the crown, and then a C, it stands for the Carl Gustav factory that was manufacturing these. And then I will get, like I say, I'm going to get this camera closer, and we're going to look at some of the markings better. So modifications happened because they felt there could be improvements. So it was a pretty good rifle, but they did add quite a few improvements, and that happened between 53 and 56. So all that they had in inventory were refitted. They were converted. It would be very rare to find an actual M42 in its original form. As far as I know, anything they had, it was all converted. So they did some things that are visible, some things that are not. And they gave it, then with that conversion, they gave it the designation B. So you'll see the letter B in a lot of places on this rifle. And so that's then became the AGM42B. And so things you can't really see is the fact that they improved the trigger and the extractor. I think as far as the return spring, they strengthened that. There was, for the gas tube, to prevent the corrosion, etc., that was happening, they put in a stainless steel gas tube. So that was a nice improvement. And the cleaning rod apparently is a little different than the original. I have not seen the original, so I can't say what to look for there. Definitely, instead of just these kind of raised ridges, they went to this very enlarged or raised, almost like a beehive on both sides for a much better grip, because you're going to need to move this for it to function. And so that was just to aid in whether it be with mitts or whatever, to be able to grab onto that better. So that was one of the things they did. They also added this. That's a rubber, little rubber piece there, just held on the side with some rivets, which is a brass deflector. And I don't know if that was just a matter of deflecting it away from the shooter or trying to save the brass and not have it damaged, but they put that on there. They also added, besides this rear release for the magazine, to not allow it to accidentally be ejected from the rifle, they added another piece here. So this is a spring-loaded piece. So you've got a double locking piece on that magazine. The rifles only came with one magazine, by the way. And so you weren't, it's a detachable magazine, but like the Enfield or SVTs and all that, they were you'd only remove them to do your cleaning, etc. Otherwise, they stayed with the rifle, and you use the charger clips to load them. And so they had also, and we'll go in a little closer, but when I get over to here, this was just built right into the rifle by drilling holes. And so we've got a muzzle brake that apparently is, not that these have a real heavy recoil because of the size of the ammunition, but so it does prevent or does allow for less recoil still. But that was a very simple way to add a muzzle brake on there. So they did that, and I believe, now I've had difficulty, but I believe you can pop this up and unthread that, because there's a practice round or drill round piece that would fit on the front, and that's where they would use these. That's a wooden bullet. So your wooden bullet would fly down the barrel and just be shredded by this attachment on the front. And so let me see here. The elevation knob, I've got to turn this around. They made that quite nice, where this rifle, it's sighted in, it starts at 100 and goes up to 700 meters. So the elevation knob was changed, and you'll see there's a little window in there that shows you from 1 to 7 regarding from 100 to 700 meters. And so that's pretty much it for what they had changed to make this a better rifle. And there's as far as the sights now, there is another thing I have come across that I would like to get one day. I've seen this, comes in a little leather pouch, and they're adapters to go front and rear with a like a phosphorus paint on them for dark lighting situations. So you've got, they just snap on basically. So hoping to get that one day. So the rifle then saw use, like I said, till the early 60s. In the early 50s, they actually got rid of they sold off the license and equipment to Egypt. And Egypt designed then something almost the same, but slightly different in ways. They come out with what they called the Hakim, and it was chambered in 8mm. And so, and with that 8mm, and it's, and boom, we had another interruption in the video. The spot that I left off with, I believe, was, the storage was, I had too much on my phone here, so I had to remove a bunch of stuff. So we were talking about this, and it's the version that was built on the Hakim, which was they wanted a carbine, and that was the Rashid, and that was chambered in 7.62 by 39. So you're the same ammunition as an SKS or a lot of your AK rifles. So that's it on the Hakim side of things. This then I was going to move on to regarding the cleaning kit. I've got a couple of them. This one here is more complete than the other one, but so what we've got is AGM42B. So this is specific to this rifle, and so it's a little aluminum plate that's just painted green there and riveted on. And so inside of the kit, now this kit did come with this pull-through, which looks a lot like an Enfield pull-through, especially this here, and then the other end that has the loop here for the mesh piece. So I'm thinking this is an Enfield piece. So I'll stick that with a Enfield rifle. In the meantime, we have the container here. Now this is pretty nice. It's got the two. I think there would be. I'm missing a brush, so there should be a brush in here, and I've got the jag in here. So that's all there is to that. Basically, now they have a little chain, and there's actually a little cork. Oops, sorry, moved off camera there. So we've got that little chain holding that little cap with a little cork, and in here, sorry, I do have the brush but not the jag. And so the next little item in the pouch is an oil bottle. Let's not fiddle around too much with that. So we have an oil bottle, and that oil bottle is like so. Little cap on the top that so you can you can remove this to fill it with oil, and then hold that tight, and there's your little port for the oil. And I believe it's the same as the K98 style, that if you do kind of push on the bottom there, it'll squirt out. It comes with this piece here, which you would definitely pull through, whether you soak that with a cleaning solution. It's kind of a strange fiber piece, but I think that would be more for your chamber. That's certainly not going to fit down the barrel, so this would be a chamber cleaner. And then you've got a multi-tool here, which has kind of a wrench and a screwdriver and some other pieces necessary for tearing things down. This is very nice. This one here looks very, very complete. I don't think it's missing anything. So you've got an extra firing pin and some other little pieces to go with some quick repairs that may be needed. So that's your cleaning kit. Nice little accessory to the rifle. Nice little accessory would be that those little phosphorus sights, and of course the bayonet is nice to have as well. So what I wanted to do then is give you some close-ups, but before then, the Eric Eklund thing. I have a bit of difficulty with the fact that Eric Eklund is credited with designing this. It seems a little odd. It's the only information that seems to be out there, and but his, as far as I know, he was running the company at Malmo. He's being credited with this, but for him to come up, I mean, he's running a pump company. I can't find, and I don't think there's any others really out there that can get a lot of information about this Eric Eklund. This is the information I get from anywhere I look, as he is the inventor, but somehow I feel that there's more to the story. So what I'll do is move on to some close-ups. So what I wanted to show you were some of the markings, and so I'll just get a little closer here with this. Now, right away we see here, and I hope it focuses for you, but there's an S dot, so a period. So SS, and that is for the inspector, and that's Stem W. Stenmo, and he was the factory inspector from 1942 to 46. So that's one of the markings, and just give you some close-ups. It's actually quite a beautiful rifle. I think the design and everything is pretty darn incredible. The quality is incredible, and there's our. So I'll just give some close-ups there of the rifle. There isn't a lot. This here is a mystery still. This hole, not really sure what that's for, but there's little crowns, and the letter B is marked here and there. Not really anything serial number wise on the bottom. I do believe we have, yes we do. So we've got, and this is all matching. I don't know if that'll focus, but we've got a serial number on the butt plate that matches the rifle, and I've got it turned around now so you can see the this here was the modification. It's a nice little dial, and so if we, I'll just finish off on the markings. So we have the year of 1945. We've got the serial number. Then you've got a B that's been added. There's the electropencil engraving on there for the serial number, which I see on pretty much all of these. I don't know why that was done. I don't know how that came about, but you have a crown with the C for Carl Gustav, and you'll see the B markings all over. There's an H here, which I believe had to do with the fact that this was a hardened steel safety, something from what I can understand. That safety This is off, and that's on for the safety. When one goes to take this apart, this comes into play. I'm not going to do that in this video, but you would get to the center position once you've moved that bolt forward, and this whole back piece comes out, and then everything else slides off. It's pretty simple. Pretty simple. So then for the sight, here is the window. And in here, it starts at 100, which is pretty cool to have a starting point at 100 meters. Don't want to hit that other rifle there, but you're going to advance that. You can see that sight raising when I turn that knob. So from 100 meters to 700 is done quite easily that way. There's our charger clip bridge, and throughout the rifle there's either crown or letter B. The sling is an original type sling for this. So taking the rifle then, and when it comes to the action, you're going to, I'll just flip it off safe. So you're going to basically, what I'll do is take the magazine out, because it has a last round hold open. So now we're going to have to squeeze both of these to get that magazine out. So there it comes out, and right away those in Canada will recognize that rivet as being our limit to 5 rounds on a semi-automatic. So we've got that crappy law here that we're only allowed, so this normally would take 10 rounds, but we're only allowed 5. So the way this works then is you're going to, normally with the magazine in the rifle. So in order to do this, there was the mention or the thing that people have talked about so many times regarding this safety of this rifle. So if you're going to go forward and capture the bolt and carrier and come back. Now when you come back without the magazine in, that slams forward, and it does slam forward pretty good. So if you did get your finger in there, you're going to have a big owie. But that's not how you're doing or dealing with this rifle. The magazine stays in. Oh, by the way, the trigger is absolutely gorgeous on this. So you've got your take up, and then it's a very, very nice trigger, which you'd expect from a Swedish rifle. So with the magazine back in, when you go forward and then back, you can load your 10 rounds in there. You take this and kind of come in this way and rock it forward, and then you're just going to push down, load your 5, get the next one, and when you let the bolt go, it'll flip that charger clip out. So you'll have to take the first one out, but the second one you just let her go, and the clip will come flying out. So once it's loaded, then you would take and because right now I can't, with the I don't have any rounds in there. This is not going anywhere, and I don't even have it on safe. So so it's not on safe. If you were worried about things, you could put it on safe. So once we have our rounds loaded, it's kind of a struggle to get that out of there. So once we have our rounds loaded, then you would take, and if you went and put that on safe, nothing's happening, nothing's going to move. You take it off safe, you're going to have to go forward. You see that gap there, and then you're going to, with magazine in, rounds loaded. And before I get to that point, I'll just quickly show you. There's your gas port, and back here is hopefully visible the little cup that sits into, and so that gas will force that back. There's your bolt, and your firing pin would be there. So again, when you move that forward, then you want to, then you pull this back, it's going to load around and you're ready to go. So the thing to do next, I guess, this summer is to get down to that range, and shoot this thing. The bayonet then has, that's all metal, and this is all hollow, and it has this piece here, which is the mechanism that locks the bayonet on, and then if you pull this, it will release from the rifle. And that, if I can get it in frame here, move this this way. So it's going to go over the cleaning rod, and then we have this piece going over the end of the barrel, and this is going to clip into that hole. So we take that like so. Not making it any more awkward than it is, because it's not really that awkward. In this case, I guess maybe I have to pull back on that. There we go. I don't know, that one. There, yeah, so now she's locked in place. And so there is the mounted bayonet. This doesn't seem to be sitting in there right. I had it. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I shall conclude by laying that down. Thanks for the suggestion, George. Sorry for taking so long again, as I said. And for all the other subscribers, I really appreciate you, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And I hope that I can get some more going here soon. Had some difficulties lately in doing that, keeping a certain number of videos going. It's like I say, it's been about a month since the last one. So anyways, thank you for watching. Bye for now.